A glowing new father announces the birth of his son to the world. Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, are the proud parents of a new royal who's seventh in line to the throne. No name yet, but Harry says they'll present the baby to the world in a couple of days. We're going to bring in two people that have been part of our coverage today in Windsor, England. The CBC's Dominic Velitis and Katie Nicholl, the royal correspondent for Vanity Fair. So we want our viewers to take part in this conversation as well. So if you have any questions for Dominic or Katie, you can submit them through CBC News, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube channels. In the meantime, let's start with you, Dominic. Take us through how events have unfolded today.
Well, Andrew, I think one of the things that's really struck me today is just how quickly events unfolded. Not a great deal of information has been released by palace officials about the birth specifically, but that's what you'd expect, to be honest, on an occasion like this. So little information. What I can tell you is that Meghan Markle went into labour in the early hours of this morning. We're told that Prince Harry was by her side throughout, and then at 5:26 a.m. Local time, she gave birth to a baby boy, their first child together, obviously, weighing 7 pounds and 3 ounces. And that is basically the sum of the information that has been released today by palace officials, other than to say that there was a short statement saying just how delighted the couple were at the news, how thrilled they are. Andrew.
And let me ask you this, Katie, and maybe Dominic, you want to weigh in too, because Heather Gill asks on Facebook, why did they wait to tell the public? Because there was a little bit of a lag, right? Or a few hours at least.
Well, there wasn't much a lag at all. We're all standing here wondering why they ever said they were going to announce that the Duchess had gone into labour, because frankly there was no need. By the time they issued the press release saying she'd gone into labour, actually there was a baby there. So yeah, we're all scratching our heads as to exactly how this has happened. But, you know, there is a baby. We did get the announcement this afternoon, just before 3 o'clock in the afternoon, by which point, of course, the couple had had the best part of 9 hours to celebrate the arrival of their baby boy.
And it was also,
go ahead,
just to butt in here, there was also part of the plan as well has always been for the couple to have time by themselves with the new arrival before making the announcement. In fact, they released a statement back in April saying just that thing, that they wanted time alone as a family together before making the announcement public. So it was always, I think, part of the plan. I think.
Yeah, I think there was going to be a private birth. They made that very clear. We certainly weren't expecting Prince Harry to come out and have a few words with the media. It was lovely that he did. I think all signs are indicating that perhaps this was the home birth that Meghan wanted, which is perhaps how they were able to contain it. No other doctors or nurses or anyone else in a hospital that might have seen them. And indeed, if it did happen in their own home, well, they could keep it a secret for as long as they wanted.
Greg Lidstone on Facebook is wondering what they will call the new baby, and that is certainly one of the key questions on people's minds now. We don't know the name yet, but there's lots of speculation going on, right?
Yeah, there's been loads of speculation for quite a few weeks on that front. I think the British bookkeepers have been having a great old time, haven't they, with baby names. We can now, of course, focus specifically on boys' names, because we know that they have had a boy, and there's quite a few doing the rounds. So I'll give a few that I've seen. Arthur is one, Philip is another, James and Charles as well is also in the running. So names really with very strong royal connections.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of speculation that they might go for American names, something a bit different. It's possible, but I think that Harry is a traditionalist. I think they're going to want to honour those family names, and they are, you know, pretty strong, solid names. Apparently Bertie is one of Harry's favourite names, so you might see an Albert, but I think it's a pretty strong chance of a Philip, maybe even a Charles. They're going to want to, I'm sure, pay tribute to some traditional family names.
But Katie,
I think we'll find out probably on the day of the photo call.
Yeah, Katie, are you hearing of some possible American names, or is that just unlikely, you think?
It's hard to know, really, isn't it? I mean, I think with this couple, never say never. I mean, look how differently they've done things to date. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if there was an American name. But I would, if I was a betting girl, I think I'd probably go more towards the traditional names, just knowing the importance of the people in Harry's life and his family. He loves those traditional family names, and he's a traditionalist at heart as well.
And I think even when girls' names were in the running not so long ago, I think even Allegra was put up as a potential
Allegra and
name.
Ivy, I mean, some quite unusual names, as well as the Elizabeths and the Dianas that you would have expected, and the Victorias and the more traditional names. So listen, we're speculating because we frankly don't know, but I think it'll probably be about 48 hours before we find out, we get a glimpse of this baby and hopefully find out the name.
Because it will be in 2 days. It will be on Wednesday that we see mum, dad, and baby all together, right?
That's right, yeah, that first family photo call. We knew that we were going to get that. We weren't quite sure when, but Prince Harry said earlier on that we'd be seeing them as a family on Wednesday, and that was part of the plan. Clearly, the man knows more about the plans than we do.
And a very sharp contrast, of course, Andrew, to previous royal births, when we, for example, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge posed on the steps of St Mary's Hospital in West London with all three of their children. That's right, isn't it?
That's right. And in the case of Louis and Princess Charlotte, it was on the actual day of the birth. So how she managed that, she's a trooper. We were told that Meghan didn't want the pressure of that. She didn't want to have to face the cameras so soon after her birth, and you have to respect her decision to do that. She is she's a woman of her own opinions, and we are going to get that photo call. There was quite a lot of uproar actually about the fact that she wasn't doing the post-birth photo call. Well, we're going to get a beautiful picture in a couple of days' time, but give them some time to bond as a family and for her to recover from the birth.
And others.
Am I right in saying that? Sorry, Andrew. No, I was just going to say, am I right in saying that the kind of tradition of posing on the steps of that hospital with a newborn is a relatively new tradition?
Yeah, it's relatively new. It was, Princess Anne did it, Princess Diana did it, and of course Kate followed in those footsteps. But that's not to say it's a protocol or a tradition that every royal has to adhere to. And in fact, the royal who did give birth to all four of her children is currently in residence at Windsor Castle. So I'm sure the Queen, if it was a home birth, was probably very much behind it, because that was exactly what she did.
And Katie, Dominic, speaking of the Queen, and this is a question from Thomas Jones on Facebook, who says, I'm sure the Queen is super excited. Has she commented yet?
No comment yet from Her Majesty the Queen that I know of. Have you?
No, we were only told that there was on the statement that went out from Buckingham Palace, just that the Queen, the Duke of Edinburgh, along with other family members, had been told of the birth, that they were delighted, but we haven't yet had a personal comment from Her Majesty the Queen. She will be at the Windsor Horse Show later this week, so I'd be very surprised if we didn't hear from Her Majesty then. This is her 8th great-grandchild, and she is just a stone's throw from the couple over there, so I'm sure she will be amidst the first visitors, certainly among the first visitors.
Bernadette Lynch asks on Facebook, what will the new baby titles be? But what will the new baby's title be? Dominic?
Oh, it's a good question, that one, because the titles, correct me if I'm wrong, the titles of Prince and Princess are reserved purely for Prince William's children, and I think that was a decision made back in 2012, is that correct?
Yes, and because Prince Harry has slipped down the line of succession, his children are not automatically princes or princesses or HRHs. But if the Queen chooses to intervene and issue something called a letters patent, then he could become His Royal Highness. But regardless of that, he does have a title. He is the Earl of Dumbarton, and I think I'm correct in saying that he will inherit the Dukedom of Sussex. So there are titles, but I think what you're probably referring to is His Royal Highness, and for that we have to wait and see.
There's another option here as well, of course, isn't there, that they could decide for their new child not to have a title, as Princess Anne did.
Yes, absolutely, and choose not to have the HRH, which I think they might well do, but we shall see.
We shall see. Shamir Patel on YouTube asks, will there be a royal gun salute to mark the occasion?
Yes, there is always a royal gun salute for a royal baby, so yes, absolutely.
All right.
So it all
go ahead,
very sorry. No, I was just going to say, to a certain extent, a very kind of modern birth. This announcements on social media and
or
so.
Instagram, the first royal baby birth to be announced on Instagram. So.
But there's still an element of tradition with all of this, isn't there?
Yes.
There's the royal gun salute and the easel at Buckingham.
The posting of the easel at Buckingham Palace.
Yeah.
So yes, a nice mixture of modern and the traditional.
So I have a question for you, and that's based on what has been said, some speculation that they may spend some time abroad. This new family of 3, perhaps in a Commonwealth country, maybe Canada for a period of time. What are your thoughts on that, Katie?
Yeah, I think it's very likely. I'm not sure whether it's going to be Canada, but certainly the couple have said that they want to travel, they want to take their baby overseas. There was some speculation that they're going to be moving abroad, leaving Britain. That's not the case. It'll be a case of travelling for short periods of time, doing sabbaticals, and actually I think Africa might be top of the couple's wish list, but hopefully it won't be too soon, or too long rather, before they head to Canada and the States, because don't forget they're going to want to take this baby back to Meghan's homeland too.
Of course. Just a final thought from you, Dominic. What does this day mean, and both of you, what does this day mean for the royal family?
Well, I think it's a new addition to their family, so that is obviously to be welcomed as well. But I think particularly it's particularly good. Moving news for Prince Harry as well, isn't it? I mean, we know he's always wanted to have children, hasn't he? He's
always wanted to be a dad, and I think the nation has a very fond place in its heart for Prince Harry. So I think we saw that today with some of the crowds that gathered here on the long walk. Just great goodwill towards them. But any baby is special, but a royal baby is very special. And of course, we have a new seventh in line to the throne.
Thank you both very much. That's the CBC's Dominic Velitis and the royal correspondent for Vanity Fair, Katie Nicholl from Windsor, England. And remember, Dominic and Katie will continue their chat about the royal baby on CBC News online platforms. You can head to our Facebook page, Twitter account, or YouTube channel to follow along and ask them your own questions. Under threat, the UN.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, thank you, Andrew, and thanks for those who are watching on News Network. I believe we are now streaming live on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter. And as before, if you have any questions, please do send them this way and we will try our very best to answer them. The first ones are coming through already. So
oh, wow.
I always thought this was going to be a popular story for some reason, but anyway. So that's Robert Coakley, I believe, asked on Facebook, how much did the new arrival, the new royal baby, weigh? I can answer that for you, Robert. I've got the figure here. The weight was 7 pounds and 3 ounces.
Quite small, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Quite,
you normally
quite
think
a little
about,
one.
Normally think about 9 pound babies these days, don't you?
Because she was carrying quite big as well, so quite a little boy.
Yeah, there was speculation, wasn't there, at the time?
There was speculation it was twins.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, exactly. So, yeah. So that's an answer there for you. There, 7 pounds and 3 ounces. Good weight. Here we go. Willow on YouTube asked, "Is Meghan's dad there?"
No, Meghan's dad is certainly not here. He's at home in Mexico. I think he's issued a statement saying that he is thrilled for the couple, but of course the big question mark over that is, will he get to meet his grandson?
Yeah, it's a I don't know. It's a tricky relationship, isn't it? That's between.
Yeah, it's been a very difficult relationship, and at the moment, I don't even think that Meghan and her father are speaking. So I don't think there's any chance of a rapprochement anytime soon. So yeah, I think a difficult time for the Markle side of the family.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that front. So another question here from Angel Ballerina, who asks on YouTube, when will the Queen visit the baby? When will the Queen visit? Do you think she already has visited? I would have thought she would. Do you think?
Well, I don't think she's visited yet.
No, okay.
I'm going to lose my earpiece if that's all right. I think she'll probably visit imminently. She's in the castle at the moment. She's in residence. They're still actually on what we call Easter Court. So, yes, I would imagine she'd be one of the first visitors. In fact, she loves to walk around the grounds of Frogmore Gardens. She often goes to pick flowers for her desk. Her desk study. So yeah, I would imagine she will be one of the first to visit, certainly.
Top priority anyway, I'm sure, for Her Majesty.
I think there is an etiquette to all of this as well, and family members are the first to visit. So yeah, the Queen will definitely pop along to see them, I'm sure.
Fantastic. I hope that answers your question there, Angel. Another one has come through on YouTube, and this is from Ali. And I'm not sorry, Ali, I'm not sure if you're a man or a woman. But anyway, you ask, is the new baby considered an Earl? I think you touched on that a short while ago, didn't you?
Yes, I think it will. It's the Earl of Dumbarton is the official title, yes.
Fantastic. I hope that's a straight to the point answer there for you, Ali. Earl of Dumbarton. It's just focus on that. That's excuse my ignorance, but
Harry's second title,
Harry's second
which
title
goes down to his son. That's right.
Okay.
Whereas if it had been a girl, she wouldn't have that title. She would just be, well, that would have been more complicated because she could have been Lady, whatever the name was, of Sussex, or could possibly have taken the Mountbatten-Windsor name. And actually, the Mountbatten-Windsor name is still an option for them. So it's tricky when it comes to royal titles. But this new little baby is the Earl of Dunbarton.
It's tricky and very complicated,
isn't
it? Yeah,
it is.
A lot of history there. Okay, moving on. Nancy Munro again asked on Facebook. Oh, this is a good question, Nancy. Where was the baby born? The answer to that is we don't really know, do we? I mean,
we haven't had any confirmation. There's been a lot of speculation that he was born at Frogmore Cottage because Meghan did want a home birth. It was a story I broke in Vanity Fair back in November that she was hoping for one, and there haven't, as yet, been any leaks out of the nearby hospitals that she has been spotted or anything there. So I'm almost inclined to think she did get her home birth. I hope so. If that's what she wanted, I hope she got what she wanted.
Yeah. There was also rumours, speculation as well, that they were eyeing up a hospital about 20 miles or so away from here, somewhere in Berkshire or something, I think, was it?
I think Frimley Park is the closest hospital, and that's where the Countess of Wessex had her children. So I suppose that would be the obvious choice, rather than travelling back into London, which is, a good hour commute. And I think these are the details that will hopefully come out over the next 48 hours, but I think we'll have a lot of speculation as well until we get some confirmed reports, and who knows if Buckingham Palace will actually even confirm them.
Okay, here's a fairly generic question here. Some people are asking about the people in the UK placing bets on names. Which is the most popular choice at the moment? And I think in answer to that is that the odds keep changing, don't they? I mean, I've seen so many different names, and the odds just keep changing all the time.
I think the last time I checked it was Arthur.
Arthur.
So I think Arthur has been quite a solid runner, but I've seen James up there, and I think Albert is up there, Philip. So yeah, I think the bookies have had a field day with this one, really.
And why do you think Arthur is kind of becoming the centre of gravity for a name?
So listen, it's a good, solid royal name, and possibly they're just going to go for something that they like.
Yeah, perfect. Jennifer O'Brien Somerville asks on Facebook, will the baby? This is a question for you, definitely.
All right.
Will the baby be an HRH?
Well, we don't know yet.
Yeah.
We don't know yet. Not unless the Queen intervenes and issues a letters patent, in which case, yes, it will be an HRH. But I think there's every chance that Harry may not want that. I mean, he's spoken in the past about not wanting to be a prince, the burden of that HRH title. So maybe we're going to see him not opt for that.
Yeah. And Princess Anne's daughter,
Zara Phillips.
Yes.
She is not an HRH.
No, and she spoke quite publicly about that at one point, didn't she?
Yeah.
About not having a title and about...
I mean, look at the freedom it's given her. She's a world-class equestrian. She gets to live a relatively ordinary life. She's bringing up her children in a very ordinary way. And I think that resonates with Harry. I think Harry would really quite like that for his own child.
Are Harry and Zara quite close?
Yeah, they're very close.
Okay.
Yeah, in fact, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Zara was up there on a list of wished-for godmothers.
Oh, brilliant. Fantastic. Oh, we've got another question here, and this one comes from Carol Wallace, and again on Facebook. And Carol says, I hope in the near future they make a trip to Canada. Is there any word on future trips at the moment?
Well, there's a lot of speculation on international trips and tours, and in fact, the talk was that they were going to take a trip to Canada and the US, possibly as early as this fall. Then my sources were telling me that trip was on hold, it wasn't going to happen, and now there's all sorts of speculation that the first trip they may do is to Africa. So to be honest, I think the travel plans are all at a very embryonic stage. They will definitely come to Canada, they will definitely go to the States, it's just a case of when.
Okay, fantastic, thank you. And Sandy Pun on YouTube asks, if Prince Charles became King of England, will Prince Harry and Meghan's child automatically become Prince or Princess? If Prince Charles becomes...
What will happen is that they will automatically become HRH because the sons of monarchs' children become HRH.
Okay.
And yes, I think a prince. I think that will happen, which may be a reason for the Queen to intervene and issue this letters patent, so that there isn't a change further down the line. Yeah, that's a really good question.
Yeah, it is a good question. As I said earlier, it does get very complicated very quickly when we talk about royal lineage and titles and so on, doesn't it? Yeah. And just on the question that was asked previously a short while ago as well about visits and so on. There's also been a lot of speculation. Again, it is a lot of speculation when it comes to this about where they might might live. I mean, we know they have a recently refurbished property here, Frogmore Cottage.
So their home is Frogmore Cottage, and that is going to be their base and where they will live. It's their family home. They decided to leave London and Kensington Palace and set up home here. So this is home, and this will be home for a long time, I suspect.
Do you think there'll be a second home in California, LA, as the
Yeah,
tabloids?
I think it's very likely, and I saw those reports that you're referring to over the weekend, that they're going to have a bolt hole or a second home in LA. Meghan is American, she's very close to her mother. Her mother is based in LA. I can see this child being, raised here, but also having quite a place in the States as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Another general question here has come through, I think, on YouTube, and it really concerns Harry and how he wants to raise the royal baby differently. We know, don't we, that, that's pretty much on the cards, isn't it? Just by the way they've requested privacy around the birth. I think it's unreasonable to suggest that that would be extended into the actual raising of their new child.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes beyond a privacy thing. I think it's we've seen them do things differently. When they got married here at Windsor, that wedding felt so different to anything else we'd seen, and clearly they are doing things their own way. They are doing things differently. We may not see Meghan pushing around a silver cross crown. I don't think we'll see them hire a Norland nurse nanny. I think we will see them do things their own way, and being that far down, not that far down, but that much further down the pecking order than William and Catherine, I think they've got that freedom to do things a bit differently.
And do you think that's forged from Prince Harry's own experiences, his history, what happened to his mother, his relationship with the media?
You mean the privacy aspect here?
Yeah.
I mean, I think without a doubt, this was a boy who grew up in the total glare and scrutiny of the spotlight, and he doesn't want that for his child. He did say that if he was lucky enough to have children, he wanted to raise his own children so that they could have an ordinary childhood, and I think that's why he's chosen this space. I mean, look at the space, it's beautiful, it's green. There is freedom here that simply this child wouldn't have had living in the centre of London. But I think Harry's going to be very, very protective of this little boy.
Fantastic. Here's a question that I like, and this is again speculation, but I like it. Ali on YouTube asks, what will Prince Harry be wearing for the christening party?
Good grief, I haven't got the foggiest.
No,
I don't know.
a
suit. I mean, he came out today, didn't he, with his zip-up fleece, because it's pretty chilly out here, and he looked very, very casual. I would imagine for the christening he will up the ante.
Pretty smart.
He'll be looking super stylish.
They're a smart bunch. Brenda Trotter on Facebook asks, how are mum and baby doing?
Very well, we are told by Buckingham Palace. They're doing very well, and Prince Harry said that too.
Yeah, and they both, in that statement, they both said how delighted they were, of course, as well, about the news of their new child, didn't they? So lots of keep your questions coming through. As I say, we are streaming live currently on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube as well. And if you do have any questions, either for myself, I will try my best to answer them. But I'm delighted to say that joining us is Katie Nicholl, royal correspondent for Vanity Fair, and author of the book Harry and Meghan. Harry and Meghan as well. So I've just lost connection here. Here's a question. Right, Sandy Pun from YouTube asks, if baby Sussex takes, this is a good one. If baby Sussex takes on US citizenship,
Could they run for president? Yeah. Is that the question? Yes.
Fantastic. The citizenship issue's an interesting one, isn't it? Because my understanding is that Meghan Markle is currently applying for British.
She's the Duchess of Sussex, not Meghan Markle. Yes. Slapped wrist for you.
Duchess of Sussex is currently applying for British citizenship. That's in the process. So
yes, and they're not fast tracking her, so it'll take a couple of years. So this child is half American, half British.
You think they'd fast track her, wouldn't you?
No special treatment for her.
No special treatment.
She's got to go through it just like everyone else.
Now that has implications, doesn't it, for until that is sorted out, that has implications for the nationality of their new child, doesn't it? If she's
but I think this child can have a US passport and a British passport. But you have to speak to someone in immigration law about that.
Yeah,
that's not quite my field, but I'm pretty sure they'll get both passports.
Brilliant, fantastic. Willow on YouTube asks, is Meghan's mother the only immediate family member there? I think that's correct, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think that is correct. Yes. Thomas Markle is in Mexico, isn't he? He's
at home and obviously learning all about the birth via the media. And as yet, we don't understand or don't believe that he's had any contact with his daughter for quite some time. So I think certainly Thomas is hoping that the baby will be perhaps the olive branch that will initiate a rapprochement with Meghan.
Okay, that's brilliant. We've taken quite a few questions. Thanks very much for joining us on this CBC special Q&A on the birth of the new royal baby. We're going to wrap up now and head off, but I think we will be back here tomorrow, at least I will be back here tomorrow, in the cold for more coverage on News Network. Thanks.
Thank you. Is that all okay? Do you close that now, the live feed?
I think it's. I'm just waiting for a clear from them.
Okay.